And clearly I'm over it because I'm a well-adjusted person who doesn't have her identity all wrapped up in her social media numbers. I'm healthy and stable. Welcome back to the Happy Tears video podcast, where we have easy conversations about really hard things. I'm your girl, Kelsey Humphreys, comedian and rom-com author. If this is your first time checking out the show, I'm glad you're watching because we are going to talk about something juicy. Can people change? Do people actually change? And if you want to change, how do you change? Like if you just keep finding yourself stuck between the rock that is a mentee bee and the hard place we call shame shopping spirals, like put the Amazon app down. Okay, you're not going to be able to one click away your feelings. If you want to change, we're going to talk about how to do that. And I know that it is not easily done. All right. And if you're hoping someone else will change, which is just a really painful thing to think about for some of us, we're going to talk about that too. And brace yourself, because most of you wackadoodles online told me that you don't believe people can change. Which is discouraging if you are one of the people who wants to change and is hoping to change, or you're hoping someone in your life will change. And then the internet is like, nope, people are the way that they are. But this is an uplifting, happy comedy podcast. So let's dive right into utter hopelessness. Okay, today talking about can people change? I asked my Instagram followers, which is the best place to interact with me online. I used to have a very active Facebook page and it was hacked. And I just would like to publicly say, Meta, get your act together. You can clearly see on December 21st, someone in Vietnam took over my Facebook page. Then they started running ads to some Vietnamese product in Vietnamese, the language, and they changed all the contact information to Vietnam. Then they tried to charge $24,000 in ads to my credit card.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Thank the Lord that all of those charges didn't go through. But Meta is like holding my page hostage or deleted it. You can't access it anymore. 65,000 fans, bye-bye. Because they're like, well, you have charges you haven't paid. I'm not paying for that. Those charges need to go to Homeboy in Vietnam. You can clearly see. This is what I don't understand about it. It's not like it's a mystery when it happened. One day it was Kelsey Humphreys in Oklahoma. The next day it's something I can't pronounce in Vietnam. All of that to say, you can't reach me on Facebook anymore. And clearly I'm over it because I'm a well-adjusted person who doesn't have her identity all wrapped up in her social media numbers. I'm healthy and stable. So on Instagram is the best place to interact with me. And on Instagram, I asked my followers, do you guys think people can change? And everyone said no. And that is lesson number 1 for today, is that you're wrong. People be changing. People be changing. We have all seen this happen. Someone completely changes their diet. Someone goes and runs a marathon out of nowhere. Someone, is all of a sudden never around because they are actually saving money and they never go out anymore. And all of a sudden they have paid off their house, or they paid off their car, or they paid off their student debt. We have seen people in your life change quickly, change over time. This happens. I mean, give me a break. All of the evidence suggests people change. We as a species continue to change. So yes, people can change. That is lesson number 1. I mean, maybe you are stuck in a stagnant swamp of sameness. I love alliteration. Maybe everyone around you is lame. Maybe you're stuck with lame people who aren't pushing and growing and doing new things. And that maybe has pulled some of the inspiration, out of you. The lights left your eyes because that's who you're around. Find new people because they're out there changing. One of them is me. I have changed so much, and I'll get into how and in what ways and all those things throughout this episode. But I feel like it is a really hopeless place to be, where you're like, no, people don't change. I can't change. My husband will never change. My mom will never change. My sister will never change. My child is never going to change. Though that's a very hopeless place to be. There's also the big ones. I mean, someone has a child, that always changes people. And I realize you could say that change happens to them instead of them choosing to change. But a lot of people have kids and don't choose to change. But most people have kids and choose to change some things about their lives, about their priorities, about the way they're living. As a Christian, I would say if you meet Jesus, you gotta change. The Holy Ghost gets a hold of you. You become a different person. Amen.
He taught me how.
not to mention, like, think of the times where you run into someone from high school or college, one of those, you made the poor decision to leave your house and go where the humans are, and you actually ran into someone and you look like a garbage troll and she looked great and she had totally changed her life since the last time you saw her. That happens all the time. And I also am one of those people where if I ran into someone from college, I think they would be like, what exactly happened to you? I don't remember you saying you wanted a big family and now you're like out, shopping for minibuses. Whenever I talk to people and they're like, how many kids do you have? I always start laughing when I say 6 because it's still very new and very weird. It's been over a year, but still it also has been like 2 seconds is how it feels. I have totally changed. I am more patient. I am way more organized. I am more empathetic. I am way less judgy. Man, I was a judgy bee. Kelsey with 1 child had a lot of thoughts. Oh man. Kelsey with 1 healthy child who happened to be book smart and very driven and very much the same personality as her. Oh, I had thoughts. What an idiot. I still have a lot of baggage, okay? And I could tell you all of it, and I probably will throughout this show. But I just want to say I have changed and grown so much. I remember my mother-in-law, after we had adopted the kids, she was just watching me and she started laughing, and I was like, what? And she just said, I just can't believe how different you are. This is just so different. You're a different person, and this is crazy. In a good way. I think she meant it in a good way. So usually when I say that, admitting, I have a lot of issues, guys. A whole Louis Vuitton set of baggage, color-coded, sorted, folded, alphabetized, matching accessories to go with it. I have a lot and I'll share it with you. I'll always overshare. I'm an oversharer. And so throughout these episodes, I'm sure I'll tell you all of my, I'll take every skeleton out of my closet. But I have changed for the better quite a bit in all of these past few years that I was not, on YouTube or podcasting. And so then people ask, well, how did you change so much and why? What was the turning point? Lesson 1, stop avoiding the big, bad, scary thing. I had to get sober. This is a decade ago. Okay. So there were other changes I wanted to make, things that I wanted to do, ways that I wanted to be better. I wanted to be more organized. I wanted to be more happy. I wanted to be more patient. I wanted to, have more capacity for things. Well, none of that was going to happen, all of these smaller things, until I dealt with the big, ugly thing, which was that I was an addict. I had to get sober. I had to tell my parents. I had to talk with my husband. We had to tell our families. Like, that was everything I wanted in life was on the other side of sobriety. And thank you, Jesus, that I am almost 11 years sober now. But even after getting sober, it took years of just being sober. That was enough. That was all I could handle, was being sober. I was working on the talk show. I had my daughter, my husband. That was it. That was all I could handle at the time. The big, scary thing is step 1. You know what it is right now. You know what it is. As soon as I said that, you were already like, oh. And you don't click away. Maybe you're like, the vibe is off. I'm clicking off. I'm going to go listen to something else. No, the vibe is not off. The vibe is on fire, because this is the truth. You're not going to change all these little things if you have some big, huge thing. And so at that point, I was in a place of, I don't know if I can take on anymore. I don't know if I can do anymore. I want more kids, but I just don't know if I can take on more kids. And I didn't tell anyone about my desire to have a bigger family. I hadn't told my husband. I hadn't told my mom. And I was just going through it alone. And I was like, it'll be fine. This is fine. And then the holidays would come around.
At the Festivus dinner, you gather your family around and tell them all the ways they have disappointed you over the past year.
Why are the holidays the biggest trigger of all triggers, right? Has anybody made it through the holidays without weeping in the pantry and your kid catches you just eating every single snack and you're like, no, don't worry. These are happy tears. Mommy's fine. That's the show. That's the premise of my show. These are happy tears. Everything's fine. If you've made it through the holidays without weeping in the pantry, please tell us how in the comments, because I feel like the holidays are the absolute biggest trigger. And every year in the holidays, I would just be so heartbroken because, that was the time where we'd see, the matching pajamas photos and stuff like that. And I just wish that we could have more kids and that I could take it on. And so you have to deal with the big thing. Then after time, you can start making some changes. And I will say, I am more, I have grown in so many areas. I used to get so frustrated and have such a short fuse and just be exasperated with just one child who was at school all day. Like, I had so much spare time. What was I even doing? That's like someone, if you're watching this right now and you sleep a full night, just don't complain to me. Because that's one of those things, like, are you getting 8 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep? Those are those things that later you realize, man, I had it made. I had, in terms of me having time to write, to be creative, to have ideas, to have formed thoughts, being able to finish sentences. I had one child who was in school all day. Now, 6 children home all day, every day. At homeschooling is one of those things I said, I could not be me. Yes, it could. Yes, it could. That's another thing that would shock anyone if I ran into an old friend like, you're homeschooling? And I've done a lot of things that I said I would never do, could never do, but I will never
Sweeping declaration!
jump on the sourdough wagon and start making my own bread. Did you know it's not even enough anymore to make your own bread? You got to get your own little wheat dingleberries and your own grinder to make the most nutritious sourdough that you got from your starter, from your grandma, that you got to feed it and you got to water it and you got to give it sunlight. I got to feed enough things. I got to water enough things. No, thank you. And now it's not enough just to have the weird little jar of goo that you're nursing and monitoring. You have to also get your little berries from local wheat berries that you grind up. Did you guys know about this? This is what people are doing. You're grinding your own wheat to make your bread. I don't understand any of it, and I don't want to understand any of it. Listen, you can get so much bread. I could go on DoorDash right now, and I could call up Panera Bread, whose job is to make professional bread makers. And before I'm done recording this episode, I could get oodles of just mouth-watering bread delivered to my doorstep. I will never make my own bread, my own sourdough. Listen, I know everyone's going to come for me in the comments. I know the nutritional value, all that stuff, good for you. I'm sure your kids will all be Olympians and they'll never have allergies and everything. All of my hats are off to you. I will never make my own bread. Please, that's going to go on my tombstone. I want it to say, Kelsey Humphreys, wife, mother, was very funny, and actually stuck with it, never ended up making her own bread. Speaking of carbs, one of the things that's interesting, if you go back through my old YouTube, you can see so many times I tried to quit sugar. And I'll just be honest with you, for the years after I got sober, I carried around M&Ms with me. Huge, share size, Ziploc, massive bulk M&Ms, because I was still eating my feelings. I was still trying to numb myself. I was still needing that emotional Band-Aid, and it was sugar. And I took them with me everywhere. I was never without M&Ms. Like, when I say it out loud, again, I'm kind of like, why am I podcasting? Who's going to listen to this? Who's going to listen to this total nut job in her formal dining room turned library talking to her microphone? But I did. I carried M&Ms around with me everywhere, and or some kind of chocolate. I mean, there was always chocolate, but M&Ms were my favorite. And now I have just gone 3 full years without sugar. And everyone always wants to know, what does that mean? That means no desserts, no sugar-free desserts, nothing other than basically condiments. Like, I'll let myself have a salad dressing, even if it's high in sugar, or like ketchup. Sometimes I will have regular peanut butter, which does have high sugar content, but it's also high protein content. I have stevia in my coffee. That's it. No like granola or things that seem like not a dessert but they're full of sugar. None of that. I had a friend, and she came over and we had dinner together, and she had brought some fruit and some fruit dip that she made, and the fruit dip didn't have sugar in it. It was like xylitol or something like that. It was sugar free, and I put the strawberry in it and ate it, and I was like, oh no, no, I will eat that entire bowl. I cannot. And she's like, it's sugar free. And I'm like, it's lighting up my brain like the 4th of July. Another one, Ritz Bits. Can't eat Ritz Bits, the cheese ones, not even the peanut butter ones. I can't eat cheese Ritz Bits because next thing you know, I am just sitting there with an open box of Ritz Bits. That is not a dessert, right? For one of my birthdays, my sweet mother-in-law gave me a cake made out of gum because one of the things that I did to help whenever I would have a craving is I would have a different flavor of gum. So I like to keep a lot of different gum flavors to just stop my brain from focusing on the fact that I wasn't getting to have a cookie when everybody else was getting to have cookies. I'm getting off topic yet again. If you go back and look, I stopped and started. I think I made it to 90 days once, so many times of trying to give up sugar. And this time I was successful. The difference is mental toughness. I had to grow some mental capacity, mental toughness to be able to take on, finally admit like, hey, I want more kids. And I also had to have the difficult conversation. And this kind of goes with number one of like, you need to deal with the hard thing. But I had to talk to my husband and sit down with him and just get real about it. And this is one of those sweet moments when I say, these are happy tears, right? My husband inspires my books. I asked him, do you want a bigger family? And he was like, well, yeah, I had always thought that we were going to have a bigger family, but I wanted you more. And I wanted you to be healthy and I wanted you to be happy. And that was more important. I had you. And so then I'm like, I mean, it's no secret that there's always the person in the relationship who has way more problems and issues, who's like way more high maintenance and ridiculous. And it's me. And he is a saint and he's so wonderful. And of course, I'm like just lying in the fetal position, weeping for a while. And then I finally get up and then we talk about it. And then we decide, okay, let's, start trying and all that stuff. I have mental toughness now that I didn't have then. So that if I have all 6 children yelling at me, someone has pooped, someone has vomited, someone is asking for something, someone is telling on someone, and someone is just screaming, just standing there, jaw unhinged, screaming at the top of their lungs. And I can keep it together most of the time. And that's because I did the reps. And I'm going to explain what that means. Okay, so before I break that down, I do want to go into lesson number 2, which is to find support. And this one for me, talking about this, is kind of embarrassing because I'll be honest, I was influenced. I was influenced by influencers. And it's embarrassing. But before I come clean about that, I want to remind you that the Happy Tears podcast is brought to you by my books. Please buy them. You can get the Kindle, the paperback, and the Audible on Amazon. You can also binge read all the books if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber. And you can get a whole novel, the prequel, which is Things I Always Wanted, for free right now on my website. And if you've never read anything of mine before, but you'd like to start and you don't want to go through a whole series, I got a Christmas book. Comes out September 30th called Happy Christmas. Perfect starting point. They are lighthearted rom-coms if you like Emily Henry, Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez. I Am Your Girl. They're great for vacations. They make great gifts because they are high swoon, low spice, low amount of cuss words. There is some cuss words and some sex, okay, but it's very minimal, tasteful, so you can give it to your friends, recommend it to your book club. And like I said, you can get all the formats on Amazon.com. Now, what do I mean by I was influenced? Listen, right around here, you're not going to find any mommy needs wine content, right? I'm not going to post those memes. I'm not going to participate in those jokes. Mommy needs some time off. Mommy needs better boundaries. Mommy needs a better support system. Mommy doesn't need wine. So the mommy needs wine content, I don't follow that. I also stopped following like motherhood is so hard. And listen, the algorithm loves negative things. Negative thumbnails, negative headlines, they work better than positive ones. And so I get it. So much mom content is like how hard it is, how depressed I am, how I don't feel seen, how I have the biggest mental load. And we have huge mental loads. It is different than being a dad. I fully believe that. And if you're a working mom, even harder. Like, I understand. But I stopped with that type of content. I started looking at more Christian moms, pro family, pro big families, some of the huge families, homeschooling families. I started looking at those types of things, that type of content. And I really started to believe like, I can do this. I'm going to pray through this, pray over it, pray about it. And I think I am capable of taking this on. And we are set up for success when it comes to adopting a sibling group with the family we have around us and the margin we have in our lives and the jobs that we have. Like, we can do this. So I was influenced. I want to say a couple things on this. One, if you're hoping someone in your life will change, pray about that, or try and nudge them that maybe they start following different accounts. Nudge them that maybe they, find different friends, connect with different people, start reading different things, start listening to different things, right? Because it really affects us. A lot of us are taking in so much negative headlines and content, even the content creators that we love. A lot of content creators that I love, unless they're comedians. Comedians keep it pretty happy, but a lot of just happy, fun content creators that we follow, like every other post is, well, I've been really depressed, or I want to tell you about how I went through this dark time, because the algorithm loves it. And I don't know if they're coming clean about that, but that's the truth. The algorithm loves it. So we are getting all of this yeah, man, it is hard to be a human being. Man, it is hard to be a woman right now. It is hard to be a mom right now. So I would encourage you to think about what's influencing you. And also, if you're hoping someone in your life would change, that's something to pray about and think about. But one of the big things for me in deciding to have more kids is I had to realize, and this was something I talked about it with my husband, and I had been influenced by some of the Christian women that I love and respect online, where it was listen, nobody ends up on their deathbed, and I'm not going to get there and you know what? I wish I'd had less children and spent more time building my YouTube channel. Our careers and these things that we build up, I had really built up my career and I was really working on something, and it's such a crapshoot. Everyone's career, it may all fall apart, especially with how things are changing so quickly with AI and everything is shifting sand for sure. I realized I am not going to regret taking time off from this and building a family. Now, listen to me. I don't believe women need to be barefoot in the kitchen making babies. I do not. I don't believe women cannot work. I'm working. I'm a working mom. And I also don't love the fear mongering part. Just wait till you get your biological clock starts ticking. If your clock starts ticking a little late, guess what? You can adopt. Okay. There's hundreds of thousands of children in the United States kids waiting to be adopted. I believe in that, but it's just something to consider. Okay. In that, a lot of us who are hustlers and creative and we're type 3 and we're going to achieve and achieve and achieve and achieve so that people will finally love us. I'm working through it. That's me. Your girl, Kelsey, is very much I need to matter. I need to make things to, I need to be successful in order to be important and to be loved and yada, yada, yada. And if you're anything like me, even a little bit, I would just urge you to consider. And there's a whole movement of anti-parenting, and nobody gets it more than me, because each of those little human beings is a whole human person that needs everything from you. They're so needy. They all need all the things all the time. And I get it. If you don't want to be a parent, if you're sure, I don't want that. Hey, we don't want parents out here who don't want to be parenting. The parenting part of parenting is not fun. Teaching, correcting, boundaries. There's a lot of it that's very difficult. So I get it if you're anti-parenting. But I just want to say, in your boss babe era, like I was for so many years, you might want to consider that you're not going to get to the end of your life and wish you hadn't, and regret building a family, regret investing in your family, having more children. And that's not to say that it's not risk-free. Children can be born with disabilities, or you can lose a child. I mean, there is risk involved, but there's also a lot of risk involved with our careers. And it's we're not allowed to talk about that. We're not allowed to talk about the fact that you might spend a decade building a career and then get laid off. And you were the she boss. You were the CEO. You were, all that in a bag of chips in the corner office, and you got laid off out of nowhere. I mean, and then what was all that for? What was all that work for? And then if you're a certain age and in a certain industry, I've just talked to people where it's so hard to figure out what to do next. And then they, decided to prioritize that over having more kids or having kids at all. So I'm just being honest and telling you the journey that I went through, where I changed so much over many years, but that's honestly one of the things. And that did help me to change and grow and prioritize different things and work on my mental toughness. I feel that was very unpopular.
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
I wonder how many followers I'll lose. I mean, I have like 10, so that may have been a rough blow for me. Okay, let me look at my notes here. Before we move on, I wanted to just give a quick what I'm loving lately, okay? I've read, I think my sign says 35 books this year, but I think I just hit 36. And here are a few recent 5-star reads. Dare to Love Me by Rosa Lucas. She's one of my favorite lesser known, pretty new indie authors. The Senator by Lori Kent. I always recommend that one to people who have read a lot of mafia romance and you're kind of felt like you've read everything and you're ready for something new. And then another recent 5-star read is my favorite, Bad Decision by Elizabeth O'Rourke. She is another one that I've bought a lot of her books. As a mom of 6 who has help for the baby, and I also have a college gal who helps with the other kids sometimes throughout the week. So we got a lot of people coming and going, and we got a lot of kids spread out everywhere. We love Wise cameras. I don't have a discount code for you or anything. They're not a sponsor, but we love them. And I'll leave a link in the description. We have them everywhere. It really helps in terms of just finding where the kids are in a hurry or calling them. Like I can talk through the cam and say, hey, can you come downstairs, please? Kind of like an intercom. If you thought like, I wish we had some visibility beyond just our Ring doorbell camera, I'm telling you, Wise cameras are the best. We have everything all hooked up in one app on my phone so I can see everyone at all times. I can talk to everyone at all times. I could not survive without it. So that's one of the things I'm loving lately. Also want to say, of course, what I'm loving lately is my semaglutide shots, GLP-1 shots. If you want me to talk more about the details for me and my weight loss on GLP-1s, just leave me a comment. Or you could go to kelseyhumphreys.com/spry, which is where I get mine, from a brother and sister duo that started a company out in Florida. And they're real human beings. I could text a nurse right now and ask a question, and I love that about it. And I've lost almost 40 pounds, and it has been it's not an easy button, but it has been, like they always say, like lose 2 pounds a week, you know, like when you do a diet or a workout or whatever, the magazines always said you should lose about 2 pounds per week. Well, I actually did lose 2 pounds a week for the first time ever. And you know, I didn't have to change my diet all that much, but, cause I already had, like I said, I was already off sugar and I already had a pretty good diet. But it really made things a lot easier, and I am so grateful. So that's kelseyhumphreys.com/spry. So I know I keep saying mental toughness, and I keep talking about, you know, building that muscle, and that's how you change. But how do you build the mental toughness? And that is the most important tip, number 3. But before I get to that, I just want to do a quick segment called If Rom-coms Got Real. Because one thing I think is funny that I've noticed in my books lately is cuddling while asleep. What? If I'm asleep and you so much as breathe near me, no, that's not happening. Tell me in the comments if you ever in your adult life have fallen asleep or woken up while cuddling. We can do the horizontal tango and cuddle. We could cuddle before the horizontal tango, cuddle after. Then I bid you adieu. It is time to part ways. There's an invisible line down the middle of the bed. Do not cross it. Maybe I'm just coming from the perspective of a mom that's just touched too much, but there's no way I could sleep like that. Or maybe I'm just a light sleeper. Am I just a light sleeper? But like in every book, it's like, I woke up tangled into his side. What? If his toe so much as touches me, I am wide awake. What's happening? Who's awake? What child Peter bed? You know, like emergency. That's how I would be if his toe crossed the line and happened to touch my calf while I'm sleeping. Also, men run really hot, I think it's a testosterone thing, or is it just my husband? I think most men run really hot. So I'm like, oh, I want to cuddle with you. And he's like, what? You're like a sauna. Why are you 1,000 degrees? I'm a normal human being that's 98 degrees. And he like can't handle it. So between those two things, I feel like there's no way people are falling asleep while wrapped up in each other's arms or waking up having just started cuddling in their sleep. Come on. Leave a comment if I'm wrong, but that's I'll write it in the book. I'm a romance writer and I'm going to write it in there. But in real life, forget about it. Never happening. Number 3, how do you build mental toughness? I need you to lean in and listen to me. Are you listening? Should I do some ASMR whispering, tapping? You are capable of so much more than you think you are. I mean, I hope you've heard me walking around carrying share size M&Ms 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter where I was, I had M&Ms with me, to not eating sugar for 3 years. Okay. Or, barely being able to handle one tantrum from my one daughter, or being able to, just being able to handle like not having much time. I thought I didn't have much time, which is hilarious because now, this is it. This is my time. Sunday afternoon, I'm spending it with you. I cannot overstate this. You are capable of more than you think. But the way to get to that potential, this massive amount of potential inside you, is to start keeping promises to yourself. Start keeping small promises to yourself. So you want to get in shape and you're like, okay, Kelsey said, keep promises to myself. I am going to run a mile today. Roberta, when is the last time you ran? Are you prepared to run for 40 minutes straight without stopping? No, you are not. Calm down. Say, I'm going to run 5 minutes without stopping today. That's my goal. That's it. And no matter what, I am not stopping until the 5-minute timer goes off. That's the difference. You have to keep the promise to yourself. I decided to run a half marathon, and it really was for this purpose. I needed to do it. I needed to run a half marathon without stopping. My goal was I will not stop running no matter what, and I will do it under 3 hours. And I did. And that was excruciating. That was a very difficult training, but I really recommend everyone commit to some sort of race. That is really one of the best ways. I think it's like a crash course in turbocharging your mental toughness. But there's other things you can do. You can decide, I'm going to walk today, every day this week. Not even if it's like, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but I'm going to do it 7 days in a row. And then at 7 days, you say, okay, I'm going to do this 30 days in a row. Keeping tiny promises to yourself. And I would suggest that you keep it between you and you. You and your bestie, you. You don't tell anyone else. You know why? Because like we've already talked about, you might be stuck in Lamesville, surrounded by naysayers, Debbie Downers. Either they might be like, why would you do that? Why would you want to do that? Or, oh, come on. You're even going to do Saturday and Sunday? Come on. Or maybe they would say, yeah, but are you going to wear a weighted vest? Because it doesn't really count if you don't wear a weighted vest. So why even do it if you're not going to wear the vest? All of those people are horrible. Don't listen to them. And we all have those people in our life, and we should not listen to them. If you are trying to build your own mental toughness, this is you versus you. This is a you game. Today I'm not drinking. That's it. Or today I am not having any sugar at all. Now we have treats in the house for the kids, and it's fine. There are times where I miss having chocolate, of course, but I am able to have the candy in the house, chocolate and cookies in the house, because I have the mental toughness where I know I will eat every drop of chocolate that's in there. If I start, I'm not starting. I'm not touching it. Also, some may say that there's more mental toughness in being able to moderate. That is valid. That is fair. That is fair, good sir. Yeah, some people can moderate. I'm an addict and I can't. So that's me. This is me doing me. You need to do you. Maybe you are going to do no spend November. Well, you wake up and you say, I'm not spending anything today. I'm not going out. I'm not opening the Amazon app. I'm not opening DoorDash or Shipt or whatever. And one day at a time, you keep small promises to yourself until you realize that you and you make a pretty good team. Okay. Me and me, we are dominating. I have a lot of flaws. I'm a big control freak. I'm not super fun. And I kind of tend towards the negative. I sort of lean towards the negative, which is what makes me funny, I think, because I can see all these things that are just absolutely terrible. And then I make jokes about them. Make a joke, jokey joke to hide the pain. I have a lot of issues, but I have so much more mental toughness now than I used to have, and I want you to have it. I feel like I don't want this to be braggy, and maybe it's coming across that way, and you've already disliked and unsubscribed. So you're not hearing this part, which is a bummer. Because I just want to say, I just want it to come from a place of, I want other people to have this. I want other people to have this mental toughness to be able to handle more, to be able to take on more, to be able to achieve that big dream or goal. So the first thing if you want to change an aspect of your life, or you want to change your whole self, By the way, I think you're fine the way you are. Love it. 100%. 1000%. Love it. But if you want to change and you need to change some things about yourself, number one, you have to do the big, scary, hairy thing first. Number two, you need to find support. You have to make sure that you're listening to things and watching things and inputting things that are going to encourage you in that goal, that are going to make you feel empowered. And number three, keep promises to yourself. And I need to say out loud, I need you to hear it. Dear sweet reader, listener, viewer, you are worth keeping promises to. Why is it that we'll keep a promise to our sister or our mom? We'll definitely keep promises to our kids or our husbands. We will keep promises to everyone but ourselves because we think we're not worth it. We are at the bottom of our own list. You are worth keeping promises to. You are worth fighting for. Okay? You are worth the effort. I know a lot of times I used to just think it's not worth it. I'm not worth this effort. I'm not worth the fight. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are worth the fight. Fight for your health. Fight to get out of suffocating debt. Fight to be the mom you actually want to be. Fight to change your family. Fight for yourself in order to change all those other things in your life. You are worth the fight. So number three, how do people change? What do I do to change? You start keeping small promises to yourself. I realize that I'm not making a lot of friends talking about running half marathons and giving up sugar. And I'm not saying you need to do those things. No one's going to subscribe to this show. I already told you guys that I was very odd, an odd person. I don't feel like this episode was as funny, but they can't all be bangers. And we're still like in the pilot era, like the first few episodes of a TV show always are terrible. So stick with me. If you are watching on YouTube, hit the like button and please subscribe. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave a review. And remember, I want to see you in your town. We have a long way to go to build up our Happy Tears family. I need you to tell people, hey, you got to listen to this girl. Hey, you got to watch this girl's show. She's funny. Hey, follow this girl on Instagram. So please tell your friends. And remember, if you see me in Target with a cart full of everything from diapers to training bras and anti-acne cream and anti-aging cream, and my eyes are mixing up a little bit, just remember, those are Happy Tears.